At first, Jamie and Claire's relationship was not simple at all. Claire came from another time, confused and unsure about the world around her. Jamie was a warrior, strong and respected, but also carrying pain from his past. When their paths crossed, it felt like two very different lives suddenly crashing into each other. But something interesting started happening between them. Something quiet that many people did not notice at the beginning, in those early moments. Their bond was not built on love yet. It was built on survival. Claire needed protection in a dangerous land, and Jamie needed someone he could trust with the truth about who he really was. Slowly, they started to see each other in a new way. Claire noticed that Jamie was not only brave, but also kind and thoughtful. Jamie saw that Claire was different from anyone he had ever met. She was strong in her own way, not with a sword, but with courage and intelligence. One small moment changed everything. It was when they stopped seeing each other as strangers and started seeing each other as partners. They began to talk more openly. Jamie listened to Claire's ideas, even when others doubted her. Claire began to trust Jamie's judgment in dangerous situations. These small steps may not look dramatic at first, but they were the start of something much deeper. What made their connection special was how natural it felt. There was no perfect fairy tale moment. Instead, their bond grew in real situations, traveling together, facing threats, and learning about each other's fears. Every time they faced danger side by side, a new layer of trust formed between them. Another important part of this growing connection was respect. Jamie respected Claire's mind and her bravery. Claire respected Jamie's loyalty and the way he protected people he cared about. In many stories, love begins with attraction alone. But here, something stronger was forming. They were beginning to understand each other in ways that went beyond simple romance. There were also moments when they challenged each other. Claire did not always agree with Jamie, and Jamie did not always understand Claire's way of thinking. But instead of pulling them apart, these moments actually made their bond stronger. They started learning from each other. Jamie began to see the world through Claire's eyes, and Claire started to understand the difficult life Jamie had lived. As time passed, people around them started noticing the change too. The way they looked at each other was different. There was trust there, but also something deeper beginning to grow. It was the early sign of a bond that would later become one of the strongest relationships in the story. What makes this part of their journey so powerful is that it feels real. Relationships that last are not built in one big moment. They grow through shared experiences, through hard choices, and through learning to rely on each other. That is exactly what was happening with Jamie and Claire. By the time they realized how much they meant to each other, their bond was already strong. Not because everything was easy, but because they had already faced challenges together. And in many ways, this was only the beginning of a love story that would continue to grow deeper with every trial they faced. And this is where their story truly starts to change, because once trust becomes real between two people, it can turn into something powerful, something that even time itself cannot easily break. Sometimes love does not appear as a big confession or a perfect scene. Sometimes it shows itself in the moment when two people realize that walking away from each other feels impossible. For Jamie Fraser and Claire Fraser in Outlander, this was the turning point where their connection stopped being just trust and slowly became something much deeper at this stage in their journey. They had already spent time together on the road, facing danger and uncertainty almost every day. The world around them was not safe, and people often had hidden plans and secrets. But when Jamie and Claire were together, there was a strange sense of calm between them. It was as if both of them knew that the other person would stand by their side, no matter what happened next. One of the biggest reasons their bond started growing stronger was how they protected each other, not only from enemies, but also from loneliness. Claire was far from the life she once knew. Everything around her was unfamiliar, and many times she felt lost. Jamie could see that. Even when she tried to stay strong, he understood the pain she carried. Instead of asking too many questions, he chose to support her quietly. That kind of understanding slowly built a deep connection between them. Jamie was also changing because of Claire. Before meeting her, his life was full of battles, family struggles, and responsibility. He had learned to carry his pain silently, but Claire brought something new into his world. She challenged him, spoke honestly, and sometimes even surprised him with her courage. Jamie began to realize that Claire was not someone who needed saving all the time. She was someone who could stand beside him as an equal. There were also moments when they disagreed strongly. These were not easy moments. In fact, some of them were intense and emotional. But instead of breaking their connection, these arguments revealed something important. They cared deeply about each other's opinions. When two people argue because they want to understand each other better, their bond can become even stronger. A key moment in this stage of their relationship was when Jamie began trusting Claire with personal truths that he had never shared with others. Opening up like that is not easy, especially for someone who has lived a life filled with danger and loss. But Claire listened, not with judgment, but with compassion. That moment created a deeper emotional bridge between them. Claire also began to see Jamie in a different light. At first, she saw him as a protector, someone strong and brave. But now, she was seeing the man behind the strength, someone loyal, thoughtful, and deeply caring. This realization changed how she felt about him. It was no longer just about survival. It was about connection. Another thing that made their bond unique was the quiet moments they shared. Not every important moment in a relationship happens during action or drama. Sometimes it happens during simple conversations, long journeys, or when two people sit together in silence, feeling safe. Jamie and Claire had many of these moments, and each one added another layer to their growing relationship. People around them started noticing the shift. The way Jamie looked at Claire showed trust and admiration. The way Claire spoke about Jamie showed respect and warmth. It became clear that they were no longer just traveling companions. Something deeper was forming. Something that neither of them could easily ignore. And this is the moment when their story truly began to move toward love. Not a simple love, but a strong one that would face many tests in the future. Because when two people reach the point where leaving each other feels harder than staying, that is when a bond becomes powerful. From here, their journey would become even more intense, and the challenges ahead would push their relationship in ways they never expected. But the truth was already clear. Jamie and Claire were no longer just part of the same journey. They had become part of each other's lives in a way that would change everything. Here is something many people do not expect about love stories. Sometimes the moments that make a relationship strongest are the moments when two people are forced apart. For Jamie Fraser and Claire Fraser in Outlander, this part of their journey was not about peaceful days together. It was about fear, waiting, and the painful thought that they might never see each other again. Up until this point, Jamie and Claire had already built trust and understanding. But now life was about to test that bond in a much deeper way. War, danger, and difficult choices started closing in around them. Every decision felt heavier, and every goodbye felt like it might be the last one. This is when their relationship changed from strong to unbreakable. One of the most powerful things about their bond is how they think about each other even when they are not together. When Claire is in danger, Jamie's first thought is always about protecting her, even if he is far away. And when Jamie faces risk, Claire never loses faith in him. This kind of trust does not happen easily. It grows only after many shared moments and many promises kept. During this time, both of them begin to realize something important. Their love is not only about being happy together, it is also about fighting for each other when life becomes dark and uncertain. Jamie is willing to face any battle if it means Claire will be safe. Claire is willing to risk everything to find Jamie again if they are separated. These choices show how deep their connection has become. What makes this stage of their relationship so emotional is the quiet strength they show. They are not always able to express their feelings with big speeches. Instead,